By this point, we've done enough hypothetical Squid Games to have a good grasp on what it takes in order to survive this game of death. Not only do you have to have the strength needed to keep up physically, but you must also have the smarts to outwit the game and your fellow competitors, as well as be committed to subjecting yourself fully to the game and all its implications. This delicate balance of power, wisdom, and courage is the cornerstone of surviving the Squid Game. So why don't we focus on another universe with a strong connection to this particular trifecta of traits? I'm Keefe Nossi with One Up Binge, and we're going to figure out which Legend of Zelda character would survive the Squid Game. First things first, let's settle on our cast of characters going through this death trap. For this one, we're going to go with Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, Impa, Saria, Darunia, Ruto, Nabooru, Tingle, Skull Kid, Marlon, Medley, King Daphnes, Midna, Zant, Fi, Groose, Girahim, Ravio, Hilda, Yuga, Daruk, Mipha, Revali, Urbosa, Paya, Master Koga, Lana, Sia, and Linkle. Additionally, and as per usual, all these characters will be going into the game completely unarmed. This means no weapons, no magic powers, no flying, no transforming into boats or swords, nothing but their own two hands and the skills that got them here. With that out of the way, let's get to our first game. That, of course, being Red Light, Green Light. Red Light, Green Light is all about speed and listening skills. All of our characters are physically fit enough to cross the line in the time allotted, which means that survival in this game comes down to two factors: the ability to follow instructions and the ability to maintain calm under pressure. If a character is too headstrong to follow the rules or not able to keep from flying into a panic, then they'll certainly get themselves killed. Some of the standouts in this particular game include Zelda, who is calm, level-headed, and intelligent enough to maintain control and cross the finish line safely. For Impa, we're going to be generous and use one of her younger incarnations for this video, and being a Sheikah gives her a strong physical and mental fortitude, which makes this game an easy win. For that same reason, her granddaughter Paya also gets a pass, and while Master Koga is a little out of shape, he's still sharp enough to get through. And similar to the Sheikah, our Gerudo characters, Ganondorf, Nabooru, and Urbosa also have a similar set of skills, being thieves living in the desert or descendants thereof. Unfortunately, or fortunately depending on your perspective, Tingle is the first to go. Tingle is not a fighter in the slightest, and the second things become serious, there's no way that he'll be able to keep calm. 35 years of looking for fairies wasted. Another quick death in this round will be Zant. Looking at Zant, stability is pretty much the last thing on his mind. As such, he would be too unhinged to properly follow the instructions of the game, earning himself a quick bullet for his troubles. We're also going to have to say goodbye to Groose. While he may put on a tough guy front, in reality he's quite a coward when things aren't in his control. Once the bodies start to hit the floor, Groose is sure to fly into a panic and get himself killed. Lastly, we're going to lose Ravio in this game. As the polar opposite of Link, Ravio is also a huge coward and would try to weasel his way out of the game from the very start. If he doesn't get himself killed on the way to the game, he's sure going to do it now. With 4 of our characters dying in the first round, we move on to our next round, the Honeycomb. The Honeycomb challenge requires both a steady hand to trace out the shape of the candy, and the patience to slowly cut out the shape without breaking it. If a character lacks either of these traits, then they won't be likely to pass this game. Those who would pass this game include Link, whose calm demeanor fits with his swordsmanship to give him a very steady hand. Zelda's also calm and level-headed and has more than enough patience in order to cut out the shape correctly. Saria is another patient character, and with her practicing the ocarina so much, she would certainly have the nimble fingers needed to keep from breaking the candy. Lastly, as far as patience goes, few can top Lana and Sia, who have each had countless generations in order to master their patience. Lana more so than Sia, admittedly, but both of them should do fine. As for the other end of the spectrum, this is where being a Goron really becomes a problem. Not only are they built more for brute strength over finesse, but their large hands and stocky builds make them ill-suited to hold that needle and the candy. As such, both Darunia and Daruk are basically doomed to fail this one. A sad day for the proud Goron tribe, to be sure. Another one to go down in this game would be Skull Kid. While his patience and precision are both fairly solid, this comes with the explicit caveat that he has to be in possession of Majora's Mask in order to maintain this level of control. Without it, he's far too impetuous and impatient to properly cut out the shape without breaking the candy. And since Majora's Mask counts as both outside weaponry and magic powers, it is unfortunately disallowed on both fronts. For our final death this round, we're going to say goodbye to Fi. The reason for this one is going to be simple. She doesn't have hands. The few times we see her interact with physical objects, she mainly uses some form of telekinesis, which would be against the rules on its own, so she would be physically incapable of doing this one. We're down to just 22 contestants left as we move on to our next round, the Midnight Brawl. While not an official round, the Midnight Brawl is still a significant enough event for us to count it. In this free-for-all, one needs either the strength and skill necessary to take on multiple foes at once, or or must have the intelligence and cleverness to be able to hide and wait it out. Right off the bat, our Triforce holders gain an immediate pass. Of course, their respective pieces of the Triforce themselves are off the table, but the traits which earned them those pieces in the first place inherently give them the ability to either fight off countless waves of foes, or be smart enough to hide even without their powers. Our Sheikah contestants, Impa, Paya, and Master Koga, once again excel due to them being basically straight up ninja, meaning that they can easily hide until the fighting ends. Speaking of which, Midna is another easy pick to survive since she's an expert at hiding, even without access to her powers. Finally, we're giving a pass to Saria here. As a Kokiri, she's both fairly small and adept at hiding from others, giving her a distinct advantage. On the flip side, the first one to die here would have to be Ruto. In addition to not being much of a fighter, her personality can also get a bit grating, to say the least, making her a fairly large target in this. If she had access to a large enough body of water, she might have a chance, but since that's not an option, she's basically, well, a wet fish out of water. We're also going to have to eliminate Marin. Being the closest thing to an ordinary person in this game, she just doesn't have what it takes to survive. She's not a fighter, and she doesn't have anything that would give her an advantage in hiding. Similarly, we also see Medley die here. Like Marin, Medley isn't even remotely one to hold her own in a fight, and since flying is disallowed, she can't effectively stay out of the fight either. Rounding out our deaths for this round would be King Daphnes. Since we're judging him as Daphnes rather than the King of Red Lions, he really doesn't stand a chance. He's rather large, making hiding difficult, and he's not one to handle himself in a fight, so he basically has no chance. Just 18 characters left standing as we return to our regularly scheduled program with a little tug-of-war. While we won't be assigning characters to specific teams, teamwork is a factor in this game. This means that characters will be judged on their ability to work on a team as well as their strength. If a character is strong but can't work well on a team, then their survivability goes down significantly. Characters who pass this game easily include Zelda, who's both a charismatic leader and a strong tactician, which would allow her to lead her team to victory. Ganondorf is not a team player in the slightest, but he is more than strong enough to carry his entire team regardless through sheer brute strength. The surviving champions, Mipha, Revali, and Urbosa, all get a pass, since they have impeccable teamwork that would allow them to play to their team's strengths. Lastly, we're also giving a pass to Lana, since she's also willing to work in a team and can keep them together in a tough spot. Unfortunately, we've got quite a few deaths this round, starting with Saria. While she's willing to work in a team, she's just far too weak physically to actually contribute to the team's success. Turns out having the body of a child comes with downsides after all. Another death comes in the form of Midna. Whether in her cursed form or her original form, Midna isn't particularly strong enough to contribute without her powers. Additionally, she's not a team player for the most part, as it takes quite a while for her to warm up to others, and until she crosses that threshold, she isn't going to be willing to put in the effort for them. We also have two more deaths with Hilda and Yuga. Both of them go down for basically the same reason. They cannot work in a team to quite literally save their lives. While they can feign allegiance for a time, the second things go south, they will immediately try to bail and sell out their team in order to save themselves. Since that isn't an option in this game, they'll only succeed in bringing the rest of their team down with them. We're also going to have to eliminate Master Koga. His teamwork skills are tolerable at best. However, he's also lazy and out of shape, meaning that even if he wants to help, he's not likely going to be of much help. Finally, we also have to get rid of Sia here. Whereas her brighter half is an excellent team player, Sia is selfish and egotistical to the point where she cannot work with others without forcing them to bend to her will. With that not being an option, and with her physical strength only being average, she's basically doomed here. We now have only a dozen left as we move into our next round, a nice, relaxing game of marbles. There are many ways to play this one out, but the easiest and most consistent one by far comes down to manipulation. If a character is able to manipulate someone into giving them their marbles, they have a high chance to survive. Conversely, if a character is easily manipulated, then they're unlikely to make it past this one. Once again, Zelda comes out on top. In addition to being able to outsmart anyone else in the room, she's also sharp enough to know when someone's trying to trick her, meaning she always has the upper hand. Ganondorf is also no stranger to trickery. While force is his preferred method of getting what he wants, he's also willing and able to deceive others and get them to follow his whims without them realizing it. And Nabooru is also an accomplished thief who is charismatic enough to get others to do what she wants, meaning that she could easily trick others into losing their marbles. Sadly, the first to die in this round would have to be Link. Unlike other similar characters, Link, being a silent protagonist, is actually diegetic, making him incapable of trying to trick others. While he may not be easy to trick himself, he still comes into this game with a distinct disadvantage regardless. We also have to unfortunately eliminate Mipha. In addition to being too kind for her own good, Mipha's also fairly introverted, meaning that she would be unwilling to try to trick others. Add on the fact that she's quick to assume the best of others, and she would be an easy target. While we're talking about champions, Revali would also go down here. He He is extremely cocky and arrogant, two traits which could easily be taken advantage of and cost him this game and his life. Another one to go down here would be Lana. Like Mipha, Lana is too kind and selfless to willingly trick someone out of their life, and she's too trusting of others to be cautious of being tricked herself. Our final death this round will have to go to Linkle. Unlike her counterpart, Linkle is not a silent protagonist, however, she's also naive and impressionable, making her easy pickings in this cutthroat game of deception. Down to our lucky 7 competitors, we come to our penultimate round with the Glass Stepping Stones. This is the toughest game to figure out as it's primarily reliant on luck. However, there are 2 factors which can potentially allow a character to pass this game. Those being the very niche possibility of being able to spot the tempered glass panes, or, more likely, the humility required to pick a lower number. Our first death in this round goes to Ganondorf. Unsurprisingly, he has the biggest ego in the room, and he would not only fight for number 1, but would easily win it, meaning he's doomed to fail this one. Not too far behind in the ego department would be Girahim. He's another big contender for the fight for the right to go first, but would still come up just short of Ganondorf. However, second isn't nearly good enough to help you survive this game, so he's taking an L here. The next one to die would unfortunately be Zelda. Despite acing every single game thus far, one flaw that a lot of Zeldas share is a fair amount of pride, which would lead her to taking a higher number in the queue. Additionally, there's a matter of both Impa and Paya being Sheikah in service to the royal family, meaning that her position basically prevents her from going after them anyway. Speaking of pride, the next one to go down is Urbosa. While not as egocentric as the last 3, Urbosa has a large amount of pride in the Gerudo people and would likely try to pick a higher number for that reason. The last death here is a bit harder to pin down, where we're going with Nabooru. While she isn't quite egotistical, she does have a fair amount of self-confidence, which would likely result in her taking a number in the middle rather than the lower end. Sadly, that still isn't quite good enough, so we'll have to eliminate her. And with that, we've come to our final round, that, of course, being the titular Squid Game. Compared to the other rounds, this is the most simple and straightforward. The winner of this game comes down to almost exclusively one-on-one combat. There's also the matter of following the rules of the game, though given that we've come this far, that's not really a problem. After everything in this game, we have a Sheikah showdown in the final, with Impa going against her granddaughter, Paya. Since they are both Sheikah, they share a similar set of skills, and with Impa being one of her younger incarnations, their physical attributes are almost identical. Therefore, this round comes down to who wants it more, and who has the mental fortitude to take the other down. Unsurprisingly, the loser here would have to be Paya. While Breath of the Wild's Hyrule is generally more hostile, Paya herself grew up somewhat sheltered in a relatively peaceful period in the game's history. Because of this, any actual combat training she has would be practiced at best, as opposed to her grandmother, who's been hardened in countless battles to protect the kingdom. Which means that Impa is our winner in this Squid Game. She may not be the strongest, wisest, nor bravest character, but she does show that a good balance of the 3 is often better than specializing in one area over the others. And for that reason, she earns herself a spot among our Squid Game victors. That and being a literal ninja doesn't hurt either. But what do you think? Do you agree with our assessment? Be sure to let us know in the comments below, and if you need a one-up, make sure to hit that notification bell and binge our other videos. Thanks for watching!